Hello everyone, my name is Bria Stevens, and as you all know, I'm the creator of Live Laugh Law. Today I am joined by a special guest, Attorney Sydnee Mack. Sydnee is a 2015 graduate of Emory Law, and she is now an attorney and owner of her own law firm, Sydnee Mack Attorney at Law LLC. So I'm just going to jump right in with the questions. I'm so excited to have Sydnee here, and I feel like you all can learn a lot from her throughout this video. So Sydnee, why did you decide to go to law school?
I decided to go to law school because I wanted to be a sports attorney. So when I was a sophomore in college, I felt like God spoke to me and he placed this calling on my heart to be a sports attorney. And it was just something that I felt like I had to pursue and something that I had to see to the end. And so that led me to go to law school.
Okay. So we're going to get into more about what it's like to be a sports attorney later on, but I have some more questions just about the beginning of her journey throughout law school. So if there's one thing you wish you would have known before you began law school, what is that one thing?
I don't know if there's any one thing that I wish I had known before going to law school, because law school is a journey. You really learn so much about yourself and the world and other people in law school. And so there's nothing that I would have wanted to know that could have potentially altered that journey or, changed my trajectory. I grew up so much in law school. I would definitely say that's where I became an adult. And so there's nothing that I would have done differently. It was god-awful mess at times, but it helped to shape me and my path and who I am and where I am. So that's the only thing I can say about law school. You just have to take it for what it is and enjoy the ride.
And did you go straight from Hampton? She went to Hampton, y'all. I keep connecting with Hampton
don't hate
people.
on Hampton, honey. Don't hate on Hampton. The real Haitian.
So did you go straight from Hampton to Emory Law, or did you take some time off in between those?
I went straight through from Hampton to Emory Law. My mom is an educator, and she was a principal and educational consultant for 30 years. And her advice to me was to go straight through.
And so you talked a lot about how you grew up in law school. Can you talk a little bit more about that, specifically your experience throughout the first year of law school?
Sure. Law school was great and it was awful all at the same time. My first year of law school. I would say law school is great because I met so many great, amazing people. My classmates were absolutely brilliant. And they're doing amazing things. The not so amazing part was going through this hazing-like experience that I like to refer to as 1L year. I mean, people have made books and movies about the hell that is 1L year, and it was all of that. It was really hard. My first year, I didn't even know how to read a case, really read a case. I didn't know what half the words meant. It would take me 2 hours to read 20 pages for one class. And I've always been an avid reader, but imagine having 20 pages to read for 3 classes and wading through, those 20 pages at 2 hours per 20 pages times 3. I mean, that's 6 hours after you've already sat in class all day. I mean, it was awful and it was miserable. But through that experience, I think it really forges a really unique bond between you and the people that you experience it with. So not only did I meet some amazing people, I made some amazing bonds with those people because they were right there crying and, putting their blood, sweat, and tears into it too. So it was, like I said, an amazing time in my life. And I learned how to study. I learned how to push myself. I don't think before coming to law school, I really had ever had to work that hard at school to do well. I had never had to go days without sleep. I never had to, make a decision on whether or not I was going to bathe or read. You know what I mean? Like, I was making life decisions about what I was going to do because I had to maximize my time. I had never made a B in my life. I had never made a C in my life. You know what I mean? I had never been told that my writing sucked before. And I got told all of those things in law school. And I think that it pushes you to get back up. It pushes you to find your inner strength and to find, you know, whatever is pushing you or motivating you. I think it really pushes you to find that, because if you don't have that, you're not going to make it.
So what kind of organizations and internship experiences were you involved in during law school?
My main goal for going to law school, was getting a job. I was like, this piece of paper is not going to do me any good if I don't have a job at the end. So I really wasn't that involved in law school, because when I asked people who are on journals, like, do you have a job? Some of them will be like, yes. Some of them will be like, no. I asked the people in other extracurricular activities and asked them if they had full-time jobs lined up. And like I said, it would be a mixed bag. Some people would say yes, some people would say no. But I found that the people with the highest likelihood of having a job after graduation were the people who worked. The people who had those internship experiences and were able to convert those internships into full-time job opportunities. So I wasn't super involved in the extracurricular activities, and also after my first year, I knew that I had to get my grades up, and I knew that I had to do better. I was also on scholarship at Emory, so I definitely didn't want to be in jeopardy of losing my scholarship. So I knew that I couldn't load myself down with a ton of things. I was like, I'm barely having enough time to read. Why would I put journal on top of that? And so it was a no-brainer for me in terms of my level of involvement within the school. But I did want to commit to interning and internships and working. And I feel like I was able to build a lot of great relationships through those internships that eventually led to my full-time job offer. So while I was at law school, I interned my first summer at the PGA Tour. And I was just talking to Bria about this before we started filming. When I was in law school, it was very difficult for law students to find full-time jobs for the summer. A lot of people still weren't hiring. The market was still pretty depressed in 2012, 2013. So a lot of law firms weren't hiring first-year students the way that they're hiring them now. So I knew that, like I said, I had to be on my grind. And so I was hustling. I was like, I need a job that pays. The whole time during the year at law school, we don't have an opportunity to make money. And so I was poor and I was broke, and I don't like not being able to do the things that I want to do financially. So I was like, working for free over the summer is just not an option. So I ended up accepting a job with the PGA Tour, but in their PR department. So before going to law school, I did sports PR and communications, and I majored in public relations at Hampton University, so I had a background in it, and I knew I could probably find an easier time of getting work in PR than the law field, especially that was paid. So I had applied to the PGA Tour to intern in their legal department and in their communications department. They ended up hiring me as a communications/PR intern. And that whole year, I think starting in January, I bugged the chief legal officer at the PGA Tour. I mean, I think I had a friend that was working at the tour at the time, and I was like, can you give me his email address? Like, just look him up in the staff directory. And Lynn probably doesn't even know that story. He's a great friend and mentor now, but I really was stalking him to try and get on his radar. And I just kept in touch with him. I let him know that I had accepted a position at the tour. Fast forward to my first week before starting there, and I get a call from HR saying, we had a spot open up in the legal department. Would you like to be a legal intern? And so I was able to make my first summer a great one by being a legal intern at the PGA Tour. And then I spent my second summer as a intern for the UFC, which is the Ultimate Fighting Championship in my hometown of Las Vegas. And I interned my third year with the Hawks here in Atlanta. And I also did an internship with the Davis Bozeman law firm. for my entire second year during the school year and part of my third year, and definitely made some great allies and mentors and friends there.
With that being said, did you find it hard to maintain friendships and have a social life throughout law school?
Not at all. Not at all. Okay, so I'm a very social person, and I think that that's very non-traditional personality type of law student. So I was able to find the other people in my class who were similar in personality to me, who just wanted to do well in law school but also enjoy life. I think that sometimes you get so caught up in being successful that you forget to live. Like, we are tasked with a lot of responsibility in law school. You have to be very diligent. You have to be very disciplined. And that's a lot to put on a 23, 24, 25-year-old person. So I made it a priority to be social. I made it a priority. Like, people knew that I may not have been in the club, but if XYZ Club was having a party, I was going to be there. And that's kind of how I made friends and connections. And a lot of those people who are my classmates are my colleagues now. You know, they have helped me and I've helped them. And I think that building those bonds and relationships with people is important. And it's always been important to me, including law school. And it's also, I think, important to set the habits early on that you want to carry with you into your career. Like, burnout is super real, especially in the legal profession. It is very easy for you to work yourself into the ground. I think that as a law student and as an attorney, you really have to be mindful of the habits that you're setting and the priorities that you are making for yourself. And I think that you have to put living first, whatever that looks like for you. If it's rock climbing on the weekends, if it's running, if it's going to happy hour with your friends. I like going to dance class, and people who follow me on Facebook and Instagram see a lot of my posts that videotapes that I post from me at dance class. Like, you have to do the things that keep you sane and make you happy and keep you healthy, because if you don't, the law will run you into the ground really quickly.
I agree 100%. Even one of my professors, my crim law professor, he tells us every Thursday, one of our assignments for the weekend is to take a day off and then just enjoy ourselves and live life. So moving on, a big decision that students have to make during law school is if they want to do transactional law or litigation. Being that you got the transactional law certificate from Emory Law, clearly you decided on doing transactional law. So how did you make that decision?
Well, I made the decision because I knew, like I said, coming into law school that I wanted to be a sports attorney. And so doing the research on that, I found out what actually a sports attorney was, and they're transactional lawyers. So it made the decision for me early on to participate in the transactional law program. But I will say that about halfway through law school, I participated in the trial techniques program that they offer at Emory, and I caught the trial/litigation bug, and I went to trial techniques thinking that this is going to be awful. I don't want to be in court. And I remember my first year, you had to do the brief, and then you also had to do an oral argument for your brief. And I was terrible. Like, oh my gosh. And the judge that they had was a teacher, and he kept interrupting me. And I was like, excuse me, sir, like, I'm not done talking. And he was like, you can't overtalk the judge. I mean, like, I did terrible. And from that experience, I was like, okay, maybe litigation's not my thing. But I had an opportunity to try it again with trial techniques, and I loved it. So I did the clinic at Emory, the juvenile defender clinic. It was one of the greatest experiences I got at Emory because I got to actually be in court. I got to actually represent my own clients from beginning to end. It was awesome. And I had a great teacher right there the entire time, like holding my hand. So it was like trial light because I had the training wheels on. So I learned so much. And then from there, I actually participated in the DA fellowship program in DeKalb County. And so I got more opportunities to be in the courtroom. And then after that, I worked for 4 judges in the DeKalb County State Court. So I did get some litigation experience, and I think it was helpful. It really builds a level of confidence. It really builds a level of comfortability. Like, if I ever absolutely had to go to court, I'm not scared to go to court. I just don't want to. Most people, when they think of an attorney, they think of someone in court litigating. And I didn't want to not be able to do that. So I'm so grateful that I had those opportunities to do litigation. And I know people will push you in a singular direction, and it has to be this or it has to be that. But my advice is, it doesn't have to be anything. Like, it could be this or it could be that. If you decide 10 years into your career that you don't want to litigate anymore, you don't have to. The great thing about being an attorney is that you're smart enough to figure most things out. If you decide you want to make a career change halfway through, you network with people, you do some self-education, you learn some things, you shadow some people, and boom, you're a transactional attorney. And everybody's going to give you different advice on that in terms of specializing, but I personally think that it is criminal to force a 25-year-old to decide what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. Like, life is so long, your career is so long. Like, to say that you have to pick right now and you have to do this for the rest of your career, like I said, it's criminal. I'm 27 and I still am trying to figure out what the perfect job for me looks like. And I don't want people to ever feel like they are stuck because you have a law degree. You will be a licensed member of a bar somewhere. You will have experience doing something. You will never be stuck. So do whatever you want, and if you don't want to do it anymore, do something else.
Amen to that. I just completed my brief and turned it in, and in the coming weeks I'll have this oral argument that Sydnee said went horrible. So pray for me, y'all. I need a prayer. So now we're going to transition into talking about Sydnee's law firm. As I mentioned at the beginning, Sydnee is now an attorney and owner of her own law firm, Sydnee Mack Attorney at Law LLC. So can you just tell us what motivated you to start your own law firm?
I started my own law firm because, like I said, I'm still trying to figure out what the perfect career and the perfect life looks like for me. And I think that part of it is having a flexible schedule. Like, if I worked at a law firm, I wouldn't be able to just sit here with you in the middle of the day and be able to do things like this. It gives me the flexibility to kind of do a lot of different things. And I feel like I'm talented in a lot of different areas, not just the law. And so I wanted to have an opportunity to exercise a lot of different muscles. And I don't know if people realize this, but creating your own law firm really gives you an opportunity to exercise a lot of different muscles, because as a solo practitioner, I have to go get the business, so I got to be the rainmaker. I have to promote the business, so I got to use my PR skills. I got to do the work. So I get to be an attorney. I have to keep the clients happy, so it's like you're not just an attorney when you're a solo practitioner. And like I said, with my background in PR and some other interests that I have, you also have to maintain the books. You got to account for all the money. You have to set up your business, so you have to be adept at business and business skills and business maintenance. So there's just so many different things that you get to do, and I like that it gives me an opportunity to flex all those muscles. Also, I'm really interested in sports law and practicing sports law, and it's very difficult to find work as a young attorney in sports law. A lot of places are looking for experienced attorneys, and so even though I know a ton of people and have a lot of great connections, I still wasn't finding it easy or even necessarily realistic to get the kind of jobs that I wanted, and so I had to create that job for myself. And it's been amazing. I've had opportunities to work on so many different sports matters, because when you're your own boss, I only have to convince this one client that they should hire me. That's it. If they make the decision that they want to work with me, boom, I'm a sports attorney. That's it. But if I want to work at the Hawks, I got to convince the general counsel, the chief legal officer. And even if I get the job, I will only be working on the things that my boss assigns me. I won't necessarily be working on negotiating player contracts. So it's just been an amazing journey and an amazing ride. And I just think that starting my own practice was the best move for me. And like I said, I just wasn't able to find the jobs that I wanted right now. And I just didn't want to spend any more time doing something that I knew I didn't want to do. So since I couldn't find the job that I wanted, I decided to create the job that I wanted.
I like that. Create what you want in life. I was telling Sydnee earlier that I believe creativity is the answer to all of our problems.
It really is. I mean, necessity is the mother of invention. You will be surprised at what you can do when you feel like you are backed into a corner and your back is up against the wall and you feel like you don't have another choice. And for me, I feel like there was not another choice. I could not imagine myself working another year or two for somebody, breaking my back, being on the verge of deathly illness, stressed out, anxiety. And don't get me wrong, there is tons of stress and anxiety that comes with being your own boss, and the volatility financially and the up and down of being an entrepreneur. But I would rather have those stresses than the other stresses.
So on Sydnee's firm website, sydneemacklaw.com, she also has a blog as well. And one of the entries on there is what is sports law. So you guys should take the time, if you're interested in sports law, to go read that and find out more about exactly what sports law is. But can you tell us a little bit about your blog and the connection between social media and the law, and how social media is helping you develop your own firm?
Sure. So my blog is still very new. It's still very new, but I grew up playing golf, and I grew up playing on the Tiger Woods junior team, playing in the AJGA. I went to Hampton University on a full golf scholarship. So golf is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I do not want to limit myself to only golf, but it's something that I'm very passionate about, and it's something that I want to work in. I don't want to necessarily just work in sports. I want to specifically work in golf. So as my blog evolves, you're going to probably see a lot more golf related topics and issues. My social media, if you see like my Instagram and stuff like that, the issues that I normally post about are related to golf issues. I posted an article from Golf Digest about how they're relaxing the rules for women's dress in sports. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be posting about will be golf related because it's near and dear to my heart. And the way that I use those channels, those platforms, my blog, Instagram, Facebook, to promote my business is that I give people an opportunity to get to know me. I think that a key thing to marketing is making people feel like they know you, even if they've never met you. I was at a basketball game a couple of weeks ago, and this guy stopped me and he goes, "Hey, you're the sports law lady." And he felt like we were best friends, like he knew me. But you know what? If he feels like he knows me, he's 10 times more likely to pick up the phone and call. If he has a legal issue that he thinks that I can solve. If I have to pick up the phone and call somebody and they follow me on Instagram, they follow me on Facebook, it's 10 times more likely that I will get a favorable response from them because they feel like they know me. So I use it as a means of connecting with people and also promoting myself as a subject matter expert. So people don't have to guess about what I know or what I specialize in or what I do. I let them know. And so it also provides me with an audience to be able to promote my business, to promote what I know and connect with people. I think that a lot of new attorneys are definitely using social media because that's where people are. I don't know where people were 20 years ago, but I
the phone book.
maybe, like I said, I didn't know where you found people, but I could find 1,000 people on Instagram right now. Like that's where the people are. I don't have cable. I don't know if you have cable. Do you have cable?
I do.
Okay.
Only because I split the bill with my roommate.
Well, as a millennial, I don't have cable, so like 100% of the content I consume comes from the internet. And I know so many people who are the same way. And I had cable for years, but I just found that I wasn't really on it. I was on the internet. That's where the people are. That's where the consumers are. That's where the potential clients are. So that's where I have to be in order to get them. And that's where I have to maintain a strong presence. And it works. Like, people will see you, or they'll see your Facebook post, or they'll see your name, and they see it a couple times, and they see it a couple times, and they may not call you that day because they may not need anything. But that time that they need something, like, oh, I remember, and then that girl, let me, you know what I mean? And that's what you want. That's the kind of relationship that you want to build online and with people. So those older attorneys who are a little skeptical about social media, I think are really like missing out. They're missing out. They're missing out. And I'm grateful because I'm picking up the stuff that they're missing. But it's such a huge part of the future and where people are headed and where society is headed that you're really doing yourself a disservice if you're not integrating social media into your marketing. And whatever, regardless of what service you offer or what you do, it has to be a part of your marketing. And it's free.
I totally agree. And I'll definitely list Sydnee's social media accounts below so that you guys can see it, check it out, follow her, and you might need her services one day. So keep her in mind. So before we end, I just wanted to ask Sydnee, if you could give a student who is currently in the process of taking the LSAT or thinking about applying to law school, haven't really decided yet, if you could give them one piece of advice, what would it be?
Try to reduce the cost of law school as much as possible. There's so many resources out there that can make law school more affordable. I'm not going to say that they're going to make it cheap because law school is just not cheap. But I would say that do your research. When I was a junior in college, I participated in the Sidley Austin Pre-Law Scholarship Initiative. I mean, that entire law school application process was completely free for me. And that in of itself is invaluable. When you get to law school, take advantage of programs like Barbie and Kaplan and being a Barbie rep. I was a Barbie rep my first year, and my second year, and my third year. And so at the end, I was able to get my bar course through Barbie paid for free. And I'm going to give y'all a little tip. No, Emery gonna kill me for telling y'all this.
You heard it here first.
Emery gonna kill me. But you can leverage your scholarships at other schools to get more money from schools. Like, I have always been the type of person where just no is not an acceptable answer for me. And so when I got into law school, I had gotten into 8 schools because Silly had paid for all of my law school applications. I don't think that most people applied to nearly as many schools as I applied to, but because they were free, I went ahead, I did it anyway. And so I got at least 50% scholarship from 5 of those schools. And so when I was at Wake Forest, I was like, hey, so-and-so offered me this. Now, I really want to come to your school. If you offer me this, then I'll be coming here. They want diverse students. They have the money. Don't let the school tell you they don't have the money. They have the money. But you just have to be enterprising enough and diligent enough to go get it. Enterprising enough to ask for it. Don't be afraid to ask for it. I initially did not get into Emory in the regular application cycle. I got in off the wait list. And they tell you not to call. I called every day. Like, what do you mean I can't call? Like, I mean, not just I need to know, I need to talk to people. I need to network with people. You can't fully get who I am, where I'm going, or the potential that I have on a piece of paper. That's not enough. I need to talk to somebody. So I called the admissions people every day. Every day. I went to visit Emory before I got in. I wrote the admissions officer a letter. Before I even got a decision. This is before I even got a decision. I wrote him a letter about the amazing experience I had when I came to visit and how it was so awesome. He read my letter and asked me to come in and sit down and have a talk with him. Like, you know what I mean? When they tell you they don't do interviews, it's not a lie, but depending on how persistent you are, you can make those opportunities happen. And initially, like I said, through the regular application cycle, I didn't get in. But in my letter to Emory, I told them that I needed a scholarship to come to Emory. I told them, I was like, I need a scholarship. I can't come. Like, don't go offer me no admission if you ain't gonna give me no money, because that's not gonna work out for me. So I told them in my letter, I was like, I need a scholarship. I need money to come here. And so I got denied from the original application cycle because more money opens up in the non-regular application cycle. So there were people who elected to go other places who got scholarship money. But when you get on the wait list, now those monies that they have denied or turned down open up. So at first I was like, oh my God, Emory didn't let me in. No, they wanted to get me in with money because I told them I wasn't coming if they didn't give me any money. And so I was so devastated when they didn't let me in the regular application cycle. The lady called me personally from the admissions office. The secretary at the time, I don't know if she's still there, but she was like, I've spoken to you every day. She was like, you're on the priority wait list. And I was just so distraught. I was like, I don't even know if I want to be on the wait list. I was like, I don't even know. Like, I'm just going to go to Wake Forest. I'm going to call it a day. And she's like, she's like, I can put you on the wait list. You don't even have to do anything. If you just tell me you want to be on the wait list, I'll click a button, you're on the wait list. She was like, there's no harm, there's no foul, just do it. And she was like, come on, just do it. So I'm crying. I'm like, oh, we didn't let me in. But I said, fine, put me on the wait list. Even though, like, because at 22, they shouldn't be allowing you to make these kinds of decisions, right? But I was so distraught that I almost wasn't even going to go on the wait list because I was just so emotionally distraught on this emotional roller coaster that is the law school admissions process. And so I was like, I just want to end it. I'm just going to go to Wake Forest. They're going to give me some more money. I'll call it a day. So against my own bad judgment, I went ahead and allowed her to put me on that waiting list. And 2 weeks later, they offered me a spot in the 2015 class with an $80,000 scholarship.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yes, so if you're going through the process, I would say do not accept a first offer. Do not take no for an answer. If you know you are talented, you know you belong in a school, you know you can make the grade, then fight for it. You're going to be an attorney. You're going to have to fight for a lot of things. You're going to have to convince someone that they should get your client out of jail. You're going to have to convince someone that they should award your client this money. So this is a first step. You have to convince someone that they should let you into your school, and that's what the application process is about. I remember when I was at a fair, a graduate school fair, I met some third year from Texas, University of Texas, and I asked him to review my personal statement for me because I didn't have anyone. I'm a first generation law student in my family. I didn't have anybody who had been through this process, and he was so nice. He was like, sure, I'll review it. And that was the thing he said about my personal statement. He was like, you have some great stuff here. You have a great story, but you haven't told me what you wanted. Like, at the end, you need to put somewhere, accept me to your school. Like, tell them what you want. It's like if you have a good brief, what is your prayer for relief? Like, you're not just here to tell me a story. You're here to convince me why you should allow me to come to your school. So make sure that you're intentional. Make sure that you are enterprising. Make sure that you're convincing. And make sure you get in. And like I said, don't accept no for an offer, a final offer. They have money. They have spots. They can get you in. It just depends on how bad you want it.
Well, Sydnee, thank you so much. She was so open, so honest, and I just appreciate her passion and everything. Just thank you so much for joining Live, Laugh, Law. I'm sure our audience learned so much from this video, and just thank you again.
No, thank you for having me. It's so great to be here.
All right, see y'all next time.